Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. I begin in the name of Allah, the All Beneficent, the All Merciful. Nafsul Mehmoom, a heart-rending tragedy of Karbala, by Sheikh Abbas Qummi. Chapter 8, The Governor of Medina and Imam Hussain, peace be upon him. Kamil. When Yazid had taken the oath of allegiance for the caliphate from the people, he wrote a letter to Walid ibn Utbah informing him of the death of Muawiyah. In a short letter he wrote, Now then. Note, instead of now then, in Arabic the word amma ba'd is used, which is a formular phrase linking introduction and actual subject of a book, letter, or a speech. Ask for the oath of allegiance from Hussein, Abdullah ibn Umar, and Abdullah ibn Zubair, and do not give them respite until they do so. When Walid read about the death of Muawiyah, he was alarmed and the news disturbed him. Thus, reluctantly, he summoned Marwan ibn Hakam. Marwan was the governor of Medina before Walid, and hence, when Walid became the governor, he hated and abused him while separating himself from him for a long time until the news of the death of Muawiyah and the demand of allegiance from the people reached him. This being difficult for him, he called for Marwan. When Marwan came, Walid read the contents of the letter to him. When Marwan heard it, he recited, Verily we are Allah's, and verily unto him shall we return. And he prayed for blessings to be bestowed upon Muawiyah. When Walid asked his advice regarding the issue, Marwan replied, In my opinion, before announcing the death of Muawiyah, summon these persons this very moment and ask them to swear the oath of allegiance for Yazid. If they refuse, cut off their necks before they learn about Muawiyah's death. For if they become slightly aware of this, each one of them will go away to different places and start revolting and shall claim themselves eligible for the caliphate. Walid called for Abdullah ibn Umar ibn Usman, who was just a lad, to summon Imam Hussain, peace be upon him, and Abdullah ibn Zubair to meet him. It was a time when Walid usually did not meet anyone. Abdullah ibn Umar saw them seated in the mosque and conveyed Walid's message to them. They told him to go back and that they would soon follow him. Abdullah ibn Zubair turned towards Imam al-Hussein, peace be upon him, and said, In your opinion, what is the reason for Walid to call us to meet him at this unusual hour? Imam replied, I presume that their leader of rebels has died, and he has called us to swear the oath of allegiance to Yazid before the news spreads among other people. Abdullah too consented to it and asked as to what he would do. Imam replied that he would go to meet Walid accompanied by some youths. Reference Irshad. Then he called for a group from among his relatives and said, Lift up your arms, for Walid has called me at this hour and might force me to do that which I detest. I do not trust him, thus remain with me. When I go inside to meet him, you all sit at the door. When you hear my voice raised, barge inside to defend me. When Imam came to Walid, he saw Marwan sitting with him. Walid gave the news of the death of Muawiyah to Imam Hussain, peace be upon him, and he recited, Verily we are Allah's, and verily unto him shall we return. Then Walid read the letter of Yazid and his order to get the pledge of allegiance for him. Imam replied, I understand that you shall not agree if I swear the oath of allegiance in secrecy and privately, until and unless I do so publicly so that people may be informed about it. Walid replied in the affirmative. Imam Hussain said, In that case, wait until dawn. Walid replied, As you desire. You may go in Allah's refuge until you come to me with the people. Marwan said, If Hussain goes away from your midst without swearing the oath of allegiance, you will never have the power to ask the allegiance again until much bloodshed between him and you. Hence, imprison him till he swears the oath of allegiance, or else cut off his head. Imam Hussain, peace be upon him, arose and said, O son of Zarqa, will you dare to kill me? Verily you have lied and have sinned. Saying this, Imam Hussein came outside and returned back with his men to his house. Then Marwan turned towards Walid and said, "You disobeyed me? By Allah, you will never be able to lay your hands upon him." Walid replied, "Woe be to your soul, which is your own enemy. O Marwan, you have advised me regarding that which would ruin my religion. By Allah, I do not like to acquire the wealth and dominion over which the sun rises and sets if it involved the killing of Hussein. Glory be to Allah! I should kill Hussein simply because he refused to swear the oath of allegiance. By Allah, I am convinced that whoever is associated with the killing of Hussein on the day of Qiyamah, he and his deeds will weigh less in scales near Allah." Marwan said, "If this is what you think, then whatever you did is quite right." Then he returned back displeased with him. Ibn Shahr Ashub writes in Manaqib that when Imam Hussein, peace be upon him, went to meet Walid and read the contents of the letter, he said that he would not swear the oath of allegiance, that is the bay'ah. Marwan, who was present there, said, "Swear the oath of allegiance to the commander of the faithful, meaning Yazid." Imam Hussein replied, "Woe to you! Verily you have attributed falsehood to the believers. Who has made him the commander of the faithful?" Hearing this, Marwan arose and unsheathed his sword and said, "Call the executioner and tell to behead him before he leaves from here, and the responsibility of his blood will be on my neck." When voices were raised, 19 men from among the family of Imam barged in with daggers, and Imam Hussein, peace be upon him, went away with him. When this news reached Yazid, he deposed Walid and appointed Marwan as the governor of Medina. After this, Imam Hussein, peace be upon him, and Abdullah ibn Zubair left for Makkah, and Abdul Rahman ibn Abi Bakr and Abdullah ibn Umar were left untouched. As regards Marwan, the son of Hakam ibn As, his animosity towards Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his pure progeny is quite renowned. The Holy Prophet had banished Hakam ibn As from Medina due to his rancor against Islam along with his son Marwan. Reference: Tarikh Abul Fida, Milal wa Nihal of Shahrastani, Ma'arif of Ibn Qutayba, page 94, Istiyab of Ibn Abdul Bir, page 118 and 119, Isaba of Ibn Hajar, volume 1, page 344, Riyazun Nazara of Muhibbun Tabari, volume 2, page 143. Thus Marwan was often addressed as Tarid ibn Tarid, the exiled and the son of exile. When Uthman ibn Affan ascended the caliphate, he called both of them back, being himself from Bani Umayyah, and presented them with lavish gifts, and went to the extent of marrying one of his daughters to Marwan. Marwan's hatred towards the Prophet's Ahlul Bayt came to light when Imam Hassan, peace be upon him, was martyred and his bier was brought to the grave of the Prophet to be buried alongside him. It was Marwan who, along with the other Bani Umayyah, objected strongly against doing so. He started reciting, "O Lord, battle is better than ease. Should Usman be buried in the outskirts of Medina and Hassan be buried alongside the Prophet? That will never be while I carry a sword." After which arrows were shot at the bier of Imam Hassan, peace be upon him, and he had to be buried in accordance to his will at Jannatul Baqi. Reference: Rawzatus Safa of Muhammad ibn Khawanid Shah, volume 3, page 7, Tarikh Abul Fida, volume 1, page 183, Rawzatul Manazir of Ibn Shahna, volume 2, page 133, Tarikh Kamil of Ibn Asir, volume 3, page 182. Marwan's grandmother Zarqa, the daughter of Wahab, was a renowned prostitute. Reference: Kitab an-Niza wa Taqasum, page 20, Ahmad ibn Ali Maqrizi. In the above episode, Imam Hussein, peace be upon him, refers to him saying, "O son of Zarqa," thus announcing his ignoble descent. As regards Abdullah ibn Zubair, when he received Walid's message, he replied that he would soon come. Then he went to his house and hid himself. Walid followed him thereafter, and saw that he had gathered his friends and had segregated himself. Walid pressed him, but Abdullah said that he wanted respite to think over. Then Walid sent his slaves to Abdullah, who went and abused him, saying, "You will have to come to us, or else he will slay you." Abdullah said, "I am weary because of your compulsion. Give me respite so that I may dispatch one of my men to the governor to ask what he wants from me." Then he sent his brother Ja'far bin Zubair. Ja'far went to Walid and said, "May Allah's mercy be upon you. Lift your hands off Abdullah, for you have frightened him. Tomorrow he will come to you, Allah willing. Hence command your envoys to return back." Walid sent someone to call back his messengers, who returned back. On the same night, Abdullah ibn Zubair, accompanied by his brother Ja'far, left for Makkah taking the road of Farah, and no one else accompanied them. Irshad. In the morning, when Walid was informed about his flight, he sent a slave of Banu Umayyah with 80 horsemen, who galloped behind him, but could not trace him, hence returned back. And that day they remained busy in the affair of Imam Hussein, peace be upon him, and dispensed with him until the night approached. In the morning, Imam Hussein, peace be upon him, came out of his house to hear the reports from the people, when he came across Marwan. Marwan said, "O Aba Abdullah, I desire your goodwill. Thus accept what I say until you reach the road of righteousness." Imam told him to say what he wanted to. Marwan replied, "I say that you swear the oath of allegiance to Yazid, for it will be better for your life of this world and the hereafter." Imam Hussein replied, "Verily we are Allah's, and verily unto him shall we return. Peace upon Islam if the nation gets trapped in the leadership of Yazid, for I have heard my grandfather say that caliphate is forbidden upon the children of Abu Sufyan." Thus they started talking to each other, and their correspondence increased. In the end, Marwan was offended and left. On the same day, Walid sent some people to the presence of Imam Hussein, peace be upon him, so that he may come to swear the oath of allegiance. Imam replied, "Let morning dawn, and we shall see, and you too shall see." When they heard this, they did not force him and returned back. On the same night, he left from Medina, and it was the night of 28th of the month of Rajab. He left accompanied by his sons, brothers, nephews, and his family members, except Muhammad ibn Hanafiya. Muhammad was not aware as to where he would go, and hence said, "O brother, you are most dear and beloved near me, and hence you are most worthy for the gift of advice. Keep away from Yazid ibn Muawiyah and from the renowned cities as far as you can. Scatter your messengers around and invite people towards yourself. If people obey your command and swear fealty to you, offer praise to the Almighty, and if they leave you and gather around someone else, your intellect and religion will not be lessened, and your valor and mercy will not diminish. I fear lest you go to a renowned town wherein a group of people supports you while the others rebel, and thus you may fall prey to their lances. At that time, the one who is the best person among all the people with regard to himself and his parents, his blood may spill and his family be humiliated." Imam Hussein replied, "O dear brother, where should I go?" Muhammad replied, "Go to Makkah and halt there. If you find relief, settle there, for that is what you seek. And if the climate does not suit you, go towards Yemen, if you find safety therein. Stay, or else take refuge in the deserts and mountains. Then go from one place to another until you find out the position of the affairs of the people. At that moment, your decision will be the best opinion." Imam Hussein, peace be upon him, replied, "O brother, you have advised rightly, and I wish that your advice may be firm and triumphant." Then he went to the mosque and recited the following couplets of Yazid bin Mufarri: "Neither will I offend the grazing cattle in the morning, nor shall I be called Yazid. There will never come the day when I will yield submissively, and death watches me to back off."